All right, how are we doing today? We're going to go over how to make a board true size and shape. So I start with a long board, and I'm going to make it 16 inches. So I'm going to start with 17. And this is going to be a rough cut, so it's not precise. A lot of people, what they'll do is, because I say rule of thumb, you know, an inch to play with, I could do the math and go, I want 16. So I go 17, and 17 is 34, and 17, all right, is 51. And if I was doing a whole bunch of different boards the same size, so I would rough cut these. Now technically, I lose an 1/8 inch. I lose an 1/8 inch. I lose an 1/8 inch. If I was doing precision cuts, the boards would get smaller and smaller. So what we're doing is rough cutting. I'm only gonna do one. Oh, you know what? Let's have fun today. I'm gonna do two. So what we're gonna do, get all your stuff out. What I wanna do is pull this out, lock it in place. I am dropping it down. So the bottom tooth is just into the groove, just a little bit. I'm gonna go down just a little bit more. Never have it in contact with the table. Release and go back. Dust system is on, all right. Eye safety, earplugs, no loose clothes, jewelry in, long hair, tie it back. Anti-skid material. Again, this machine right now, we just have a mat until we move stuff over. What I'm gonna do, hand on the machine, turn it on. I'm safe, let go. Now I'm gonna come over, and it's just gotta be close. It's not precise. That's it, go all the way back, remove the board, come over. Remember, don't bring the board all the way, that's actually cut. Go back. We never want to extend the blade past the wood. So now I have my two boards, they're rough cut. All right, now I'm gonna go over to the joiner. Remember, the joiner is already set. So all I wanna make sure is that the dust system is on, all right? And I wanna make sure that I'm squared. We don't stand in line with it. We've gone over that. You know this machine better than I do now. Turn it on. I'm gonna join an edge. Okay, now, I'm going over to the table saw. Oh no, what edge did I join? Okay, I know which edge I just joined, it's this one. What I always like to do is mark it. Pencil, okay? So I know that's the edge that is clean. That's the edge that I'm gonna clean up. I've joined in an edge, I wait till the machine stops. Now I can leave it. I'm gonna come over to a table saw. I've joined in an edge, so now what I wanna do is rip to width. And what we're doing is making the boards 5 inches by 16. So I'm gonna get 2 out of this and 2 out of the other one. So what I'm gonna do is come over, and I'm gonna set my gauge up for 5 inches, lock it down. I want to make sure I'm just 1 tooth above. You should know all of this from the table saw demo, and then I'm ready to go. Now, if I was going smaller than 5 inches and 4, I'd always use a push stick. All right. Did you notice, though, what I like to do is I have a finger that I put in here, and then some of you might be saying, where's the guard? This is a saw stop, so this machine locks down before you would get cut. Remove my scraps, and you notice I just push one board after another and let them come through. Now what I have is I have 4 boards. They're all the exact same perfect width. Now what I'm going to do is square one end, because these might not be at 90 degrees. So what I'm going to do is remove this out. I am going to come over and I'm going to get a miter gauge. And then always what I want to do is I want to check to make sure that my miter gauge and my blade are square. So I'm going to get a square. Now I wouldn't be doing this at the table. I would cut these, I would go back over to the workbench and do all my numbers on that. But being that there's no other students in the class, it's just me. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to square one end. So all I want to do is take a little bit off. Now, I've been doing this for a long time, so you could square that. What I want to do is check and make sure that the blade and the miter gauge is 90 degrees, and you can see that's not. So I'm going to adjust that, and what I want to do is I want to get those so those are 90 degrees and lock it in place. Now, what I have done is I have rough cut it, jointed an edge, rip to width. I'm going to just square one end. So all I need to do is take a little bit off. I have an inch to play with. So I'm not going to measure and take my time squaring it and lining it up. All I want to do is come down, and I know that that is where the blade is. There's my mark. So I'm just going to come past that mark just a little bit. I know that. So all I want to do is take a little bit off. Hold the board in tight. I'm just going to take a little bit off. All right, never remove with your fingers. So that board is done. All right, now I know that's the way my square is. I should have these all labeled first. Take the board over. All I'm going to do, I have my line, just cross it just a hair. I slid, come back. All I want to do, I'm just taking a little bit off. So now what I have done is I have rough cut, jointed an edge, ripped to width, square one end. So these should be nice 90 degrees, and they're my 5 inches, which is perfect. So now what I'm going to do is measure over, and my number is 16. So what I am going to do, mark 16. Now, what I need to do is square this down on the edge. Because what I am doing is I am going to look at the blade here, and this is the piece that is cutting off. I don't want the blade on this side. I want it on this side. So what I am going to do is come over. Now remember, we went over the teeth on it. One points this way, this way, this way. So I am looking for a tooth right here that's pointing in this direction, and what I want to do is line that right up on it. Leave the line. Rule of thumb, I can always cut more off. I can't put it back on. So now, if I wanted to, what I could do is set up a block right here. It's called a stop block. All right, so I don't have to do this anymore. So it's with a clamp, it's a piece of wood, and I put it here. So what I do is I make this cut, and then I take my piece of wood and put it right down on it. I'm only doing 4. If I was doing 10, 15, I would do a stop block. I am not gonna measure 15 boards, square them, turn the machine off. All right? I had to make my adjustments. Now I gotta drop that back down, and I only wanna go 1 tooth. Okay, another trick that you can do is I've lined this up. All right, once I make my cut, you notice that's going right on the other side of the line, and I bring this back. Again, don't put your head down, turn it off or use your leg. Do not remove that until the blade stops. I have not let this move. So what I can do is I can draw my line right there, and I know that's exactly where the blade is on a tooth on that side. So now I can take this board, if I'm good, which I am, it's gonna be right on 16, all right? Look at that, unbelievable. I won't make your cuts. So now, if I take it, get it flush, smooth, even, those are great terms. You're gonna say those to me. Flush, smooth, even. I can just, and I'm lining it up on the edge that I squared. Again, this would be done at the workbench. I don't have people in here, so I'm cheating. And I do have my materials on this side of the fence. Nothing is ever on that side. So now what I can do is square those down. Now, as I said before, if I had a stop block, I wouldn't have to do any of this. So this is a little bit more time. But once I have one piece and it's good, instead of measuring over and over again, I just use that and I copy it. It's just like a friend of mine that was in high school. He used to copy my math all the time, but that's why he never did well. So now what I need to do, I can go a little quicker, and I just line that up right on that line. All right, so instead of coming up here, I have to turn the machine off, line that up. I can just line it up right on that line. So I'm lining those lines up. Hold the board, don't let it move, turn it on. All right. Now, what I can do is I can just go one after another, but I'm going to come over here and see that and say, oh, wow, perfect, right on. So here's my next one. Line it up. Right on my line. Again, so if I had a stop block, so it's a piece of wood that I clamp right here, I could just take the wood, I don't have to square it, and I come right up to that. So there's different techniques on cutting several pieces of wood the same size. So I can go right over with that one. Here's this one right here. Okay. Never put your head down there. If the fence was over there, you'd get a kickback. Those will bobble, they'll move. Never try to remove them. Even though this is a saw stop habit, never remove anything while the blade is running. So now what I have is I have 4 boards, the exact same size, true size and shape. They're all square, they're 5 inches by 16 inches. When learning on doing these, it's always best to measure twice, cut once. Check your measurements. All right, after you make a cut, check it. All right, you don't want to just rush it, make a mistake, because it can't put wood back on. It's very hard. All right, haven't found that board stretcher. You can always take more off, you can't put it back on. Now I'm ready, I can go do my joinery. I look forward to seeing you in class and seeing you make a board, true size and shape.